also hit the record button.
Click and go live. There's 4 people watching. Click go live. I think we're live. All right. Let me hit M for Hornets. It's Tuesday, July 27th, 2021. I'm Rim.
I'm Scott.
And this is GeekNights. Tonight we are talking about the grindy, pay-to-win Pokémon UNITE MOBA. So we're not going to dwell on it, but the NHL Expansion Draft did happen for the newest team that joined the NHL, the Seattle Kraken.
If you don't understand what that means, it basically every team chooses which players that are the most important players on their team, and there's some list. You have to meet some requirements, and then when there's a new team that comes out of nowhere and has no players, that team goes around to all the other teams and they steal one player from each team.
How fucking cool is that?
So they're there, but they can't steal the ones that got protected. They steal the low fruits.
Yep,
right?
so you got 2 games going on. If you're a fan of another team, you got to be like, all right.
It's a lot like, kickball, right? It's
yeah.
Like, you pick, right?
I choose Johnny.
Right. And then immediately after that draft, they have the regular draft where you choose from amongst the children of the world to which ones you will have exclusive bargaining rights with.
Rangers had actually weird, despite having the amazing draft pick last year, they got like 16th overall again this year just by luck.
That's pretty much in the middle.
Yeah, but that was okay. We got
it's 32 teams now. In fact, that's right in the middle.
Yeah, but the cool thing about this is now the NHL, like Dr. Hibbert would approve, has symmetry. There are the same number of teams in every division in the NHL.
That is correct.
And 2,
so we don't need any more teams.
I've only seen 2 expansion drafts of this format in my life. And this one I actually really enjoyed watching because Seattle.
You watched it live?
Yeah. The reason I watched it live.
I just checked the day after and looked at the list.
So here's what was going on with it. For one, I forget who was up on stage, but the guy on the right wearing the navy blue blazer was really mean and catty. And everything he said was very weird, mean girl. He kind of made fun of every other NHL team one by one. Every time a Canadian team came up that they were taking someone from, he'd mention how the teams up north didn't have such a great season. And he just dug into every single team. And it was kind of funny to watch. But 2, him aside, the rest of the draft was... So remember when the Mighty Ducks became a team and they did the most embarrassing thing that's ever happened in the history of the NHL with their Disney on Ice nonsense to try to announce the team. This was this weird combination of so wholesome and so pure that I gotta respect it. The Seattle team, almost all the announcements, they'd get someone to do the announcement in a cute, kitschy way. They had someone who climbed to the top of Mount Rainier, announced one of the teams from the top of Mount Rainier. And they're like, this is the record for the highest elevation that an expansion draft pick has ever been announced. And they did one in someone in a scuba suit in a shark tank. And it was that stuff's all stupid and marketing nonsense, but it was also very kitschy Seattle. And I respect that they're leaning into their identity. But with all of that, they got some football players and other Seattle people to give announcements. It was very clear which of those people have ever seen a hockey game in their life and which of them have not. And it's worth going back.
How it is with hockey, right? Being something that
being the 4th biggest sport in the U.S.
Right? Hockey's a big thing, but it's not the biggest, right? There's a lot of places that just don't have any, right? So it's this weird in-between thing where it's big enough to be a thing, but not big. So it can sort of have some aspects of being huge and having tons of money, and some aspects of being this unknown weird thing.
But the other aspect of it that's interesting, and we'll move on to the actual news and stuff. There's so much news, we're only going to cover 2 big stories. But with the expansion draft, normally a hockey team with the salary cap era has to grow organically. They can't just pick the right team. The difference between a D&D character that levels up over the course of 4 years of your high school versus a D&D character you start at level 10 and choose a path and an end result. So expansion draft teams are this interesting case where the people in charge of the team basically get to decide the composition of the team from nothing. Like, we want a team that plays like this. If we get that player, let's get this other player specifically to complement them. And that doesn't happen in Major League sports. Like, that is a unique situation.
Because usually you have some players that are already on contracts.
Yep.
Right? You could wait a long time until you could set it up to where you just let everyone's contract expire, give everyone bridge deals, and then like maybe magically you've timed it out in such a way, and maybe and purposely lost a bunch of games so that you just lose all your players at once. But typically you're gonna have a significant number of players who are on long-term deals that are your core players, and you have to build around them because they're on your team. You signed them, 3 years ago, whatever. You wanted to keep them. You just, and so the past you, which might not even be you, if the previous GM of your team, right, signed those deals. Now you're the new GM. It's like you're stuck with the same deals that were there. So you only have a few spots that you can play with on your roster. You can be like, well, a long time, several years to like redo your team.
But instead, you get to just craft a team from the ether. Like, it's unique. And when Vegas did the expansion draft recently, I suspected that they were going to do really well because of that, like better than and they did. Like, they almost won the Stanley Cup their first year being a hockey team. So I bet the Kraken will do very well like Vegas their first few years. And then they'll be like a normal team after that. So in the news, whatever other news we were talking about, this is probably the biggest one, and it's important. Activision and Blizzard, independently of each other.
They're the same company now.
They are the same company now. They were a lot. So I bring this up because, and I'll talk about this more when we talk about the news. There was an early narrative of people used to, like, before these stories all broke, that Activision had the bad culture, but Blizzard was a good company that was like stuck in the Activision umbrella, and Activision was making them more and more toxic. And while that may be true, based on this news, it is very clear that Blizzard on its own is also super toxic.
I assume that every large game company.
Oh yeah, like, don't forget, everyone's mad at Blizzard. Ubisoft has a very similar horrifying situation ongoing.
Right.
The news about that is just eclipsed by the recent news about Blizzard. Activision, Blizzard, and Ubisoft are equal offenders, as are almost all AAA game studios.
I pretty much assume that every single like major nerd company, not even just video games, but especially games, that the culture is like this, except Nintendo, where I believe my opinion of Nintendo is that it's probably not bro-y in this way, but I still imagine Nintendo to be, sexist and also have more problems related to overwork. That, knowing the stories I've heard about like Miyamoto overworking,
Yep.
I guess those are just Japanese. There's also some, I guess that's sort of a racist idea also, right? In that, it's sort of like that's the stereotype of a Japanese company, right?
Yep. It's tough because when you see...
Nintendo could be an exception, but I doubt it.
So there's a lot going on here, but basically Blizzard had the culture that you all assumed and expected it had, that people who have worked there and quit or been fired or pushed out have been telling people about forever. But now there's a lawsuit. A big for real lawsuit
not a lawsuit from like people, like just some people who are, employees.
No, this is the state of California.
The state of California, where the company is suing the company, which is, if the state sues you, you're in much bigger trouble.
Yeah.
Than if your employees try to sue you, because your employees, they had to they pull their money together with a class action, right? It's like, no. If the state comes after you, they have the state's power, right? The tax money.
I'm gonna read a very short excerpt from the Daily Beast because I want to. This news is big enough to where I want to be very precise with exactly what's happening.
Do you need a content warning for all these sexual assault stories?
We do not, because what I'm about to read does not get into any specific details that are content warning. But if you read, which I have read, the actual complaints, serious content warning. It is fucked up shit that was going on in Blizzard, and I suspect this is just the tip of the iceberg.
I guess
allegedly, we are not lawyers.
Allegedly.
So
the case isn't over yet. So
from the Daily Beast, quote, The California Department of Fair Employment and Housing filed suit against Activision Blizzard, alleging that they subjected its female employees to a degrading, pervasive frat boy workplace culture. Women comprise only 1/5 of the company's workforce, and those employees were subject to sexual harassment, unequal pay, and retaliation, the suit alleges. Female employees who spoke to the Bureau said their male colleagues and bosses would make rape jokes, hit on them. One employee claimed to have an assault situation involving photos that I'm not going to read in detail, and it only gets worse from there. Like this is worse than what even a lot of pessimistic people about the industry had expected and assumed.
No, that's what I expected.
I mean, this is what I expected. This is what I've assumed.
I expect and assume that, name another game.
Ubisoft.
Rockstar games, or they make GTA. Come on, you can't tell me that.
Riot's been in deep shit over this.
Oh, Riot, absolutely, right.
Riot is like public enemy #1 when it comes to sexist nonsense.
Yeah, obviously, I'm not trying to like slander or libel any of these places, right? But it's like I'm saying. Not that these things actually happen there. I'm saying that I assume those things actually happen there. Right?
Yep.
I believe they did, even though I have absolutely no evidence whatsoever other than that's the culture of these places.
I mean, one of the reasons I am not like did not seriously try to be at one of these large game companies is they don't pay shit. Like that's just a thing. But
it's one of the reasons I won't work at like any company over a certain size or any company you've ever heard of, probably.
But I also do not like or trust the entire AAA ecosystem. Like it is just it is workers' rights, like exploitation, never mind all this harassment and all this sexist stuff and racism. There's so much going on there. It's a shit show. And this lawsuit is serious. Their stock dropped on this news significantly. And the world, like people are taking it seriously. So what I would say
it makes me think about how over the past few years, so many of the higher up people at Blizzard working,
everyone I knew one by one,
the Morheim guy, right? All these people who are at Blizzard sort of abandoned ship, right? When after they got, it's like, okay, Activision bought us, we shipped our stuff, we achieved, and then let's bail. They all bailed. Right, and then
so many people we know have bailed from Blizzard.
There was the layoff situation also somewhat a while back, right, which made me think it's not a great place to work. The products they've been putting out, they've been delivering products less well. See, it's like which led me to imagine that there was some, and the people leaving led me to imagine there was organizational dysfunction where there previously was not, or at least it was going downhill.
Yep. If I had to really
in response to this lawsuit, right? You're seeing comments from people who are still there and also some of those former people. And what I've noticed is a lot of the former people were saying things along the line, along the lines of, "Yeah, we failed you, we fucked up," right? Which is, I guess, yeah, you did. But the current executives were refuting.
Yeah, this escalated rapidly. Executives at Blizzard tried to issue statements to the effect of either this isn't a problem or...
But yet the previous executives effectively, indirectly admitted it by saying we failed you.
But also...
Which doesn't excuse them for the...
Oh, yeah, that's something I want to get into. This happens... That happens in a lot of industries. When the white dude who is a senior executive of a company or someone who steps down or resigns or recently stepped down, and they say yes, we failed. No, you didn't just fail. You were actively a part of it if you knew. And if you didn't know, you are terrible at your job.
Right. So basically, the people who are responsible for the bad culture in the past and probably responsible for starting it because they were there, right? The Morheim guy, isn't that the Blizzard guy who was there from the start, right? So it happened under his watch, right? People don't realize how much of the culture of a company, right, comes down from the top.
Oh, it happens you like Penny Arcade Expo.
Big or small, right? The attitude of a very few executives at the top of a company largely dictates the culture of the entire company, even if it's massive, even if the CEO is far away and you never hear from them.
Yep. But in this case, this type of situation in the game industry, I think a big part of it, And in addition to cultures of racism and sexism, and in addition to the exploitation of the workers, there's also this specific problem that's more common in the game industry than a lot of other industries of there are specific, well-known harassers who are in the company, who are protected. This happens in tech companies a lot too, who are protected for reasons that I cannot fathom because they tend to not actually be the people who are actually making the products good either. It's like their friends in senior management protect them when they are actually causing these problems to a big degree.
It's the same reason someone isn't kicked out of board game night.
Yeah.
They're really shitty. Same idea. But the current executives, right? They're taking the line, right? The current executives, I think some of them recent hires. Wasn't there the person who used to work in like the Bush administration?
Oh my God, I don't actually know all the. I have no idea who are the executives right now.
When they hired these people, it already was looking bad because of the resumes of the people that they hired to replace the outgoing people.
Yep.
But yeah, they gave statements like denying that these things were true. And so the Blizzard employees, like hundreds of them, perhaps even like up to 1,000.
Yep. So this is breaking news. Jason Schreier's been reporting on this pretty thoroughly, so I'll link to his accounting.
All right. So they put out a letter like saying, that's a bunch of bullshit. This is right. The employees are siding with the state, which tells you that the state is right. And then tomorrow, Wednesday, the 28th of July, they're just going to walk out.
Blizzard employees are striking tomorrow. They're walking out to protest.
And they have reportedly not discussed making a union. They should.
I think you're looking at the same source I am. Yeah, Schreier confirmed that they have not discussed a union. I think they should.
Why aren't they? But they're walking out tomorrow.
Yep. So they have issued some statements on Twitter, like the people who are organizing the walkout, on how they want to be supported. And it seems to be, now double check all this because this situation is evolving. Like, this is breaking news as of 1 p.m. Eastern today. But they do want people to not play Blizzard games tomorrow, to log out of Blizzard and Activision services, and a large number of gaming outlets have agreed to not cover any Blizzard or Activision games or news in any capacity except as relating to the walkout, the strike, and the harassment suits. Including us. Like, I'm not going to play or talk about Overwatch or any of that stuff until this situation is resolved to my satisfaction.
If it would be, if I ran Twitch or YouTube.
Oh, I would block. If I was on Twitch, I would block streaming Blizzard games.
If I ran PAX, I would be like, you can't have a booth. You can't have a panel. It's like, you can't come.
Yeah.
It's like all the other gaming companies, right, should block them out. Be like, if I was, I guess they have their own thing, BattleNet, so they can't get kicked off of that. But if they were on Steam, could be like, oh, we're not selling your games, taking them off.
Yep.
I guess if someone owns the game, they can still play them, but they're like, oh, we're going to kick you out of our store. We're allowed, basically, and I think people should do that to, that's like, the minimum, right? Is basically someone who got caught blocking them, right? I think that if I had the power to do so, I would go one step further. And that one step would be like, hey, other game company to which there is no lawsuit or anything. You want to continue to be on our platform? Well, we're not playing the old innocent until proven guilty game anymore, right? I need affirmative proof that your culture is wonderful, or else.
Well, we need this actually. So much like leads ratings for like building efficiency or ratings, like there's independent organizations in a lot of industries to rate things. We almost need a third-party independent organization that rates the level of sexism, racism, etc. inside of the culture of game companies and certify or decertify them to attaining certain levels of like minimum professionalism. So then
how do you do that? Because when that inspector comes, it's not like when the health inspector comes to a restaurant and looks around and there's rats.
There are a lot of ways to do this.
Surprise, I'm here. I see the rats. If you go to a company, everyone sees you, and now they're going to be on their best.
No. So that's not how these kinds of things tend to work. So, like, unions have experience with this. Other industries have things like this. For example, one thing that has happened in other industries is when companies that do ratings along those lines are checking out a company to recertify them, they'll do things like they get to come and talk to anyone they want to behind closed doors privately. they'll come and set up a system for people to anonymously report anything that they'd like to have looked into, things like that. There are ways to protect the workers and also get this information. We need something because this is going to keep happening. And the response is always the same. The executives always say, we're sorry, we failed you, we need to do better, but they never do better.
That's only what the former executive's saying. The current
I know, that's what's even worse. It's like Blizzard also owned gold by trying to fight against this. Like, what did they think? That all their employers are going to be like, oh, yeah, no, it's fine. Their employees are all like, yeah, I didn't even report all my harassment. Here we go. Who can I call? If you work at Activision Blizzard.
I'm sure you can call the state attorney general's office in California. They're the ones bringing the suit. So I'm sure they would love to hear the story.
There are also a number of journalistic outfits who have reached out, and they have anonymous and protected avenues if you work at Activision Blizzard where you can tell your story with or without giving them your name and details and contribute to this investigation.
But not to mention, if you're experiencing any sort of bullshit, not just, workplace bullshit, but, it could be landlord bullshit or any kind of bullshit that you feel is, not cool. If it's the kind of thing where you have to sue on your own, okay, you have to sue on your own. But
that's real hard. It rarely works.
Yeah. But this shows you that there are, if it's something's criminal, like let's say your boss is doing wage theft or your landlord is not following.
In your state, there's probably...
Call your attorney general.
Yep.
Right?
There's either an organization in your state, like the thing that's going after Blizzard in this case. There are, call your attorney general. Even call, not your senator, like that's a little bit like too small for them, but like your House rep, if they're a Democrat at least, will like... surprisingly often like help you out with shit like this, like way more than you would expect.
There's all kinds of people that you can call, and even if they can't directly do anything, they can at least point you somewhere. So the state attorney generals of California didn't bring this case just out of nowhere, right? They heard about this. It's not like they're going and looking at every company. Every company's in California, and they're not looking at all of them constantly. Someone called them and told them this was going down. How else would they know?
Yep. So in some other news, because this is going to be an ongoing story, and I can encourage you to follow it, it looks like, I guess, Valve is releasing the Game Gear too.
Right. So Valve announced people were upset with, we already talked about the Switch upgrade.
Yeah, if you're mad that the new Switch is not 4K 60 FPS, you have no idea how technology works at all. It is literally impossible to do that.
They announced the Steam Deck, and the Steam Deck is basically a Switch clone, but the idea is that it's basically PC, so it can run every game that's on Steam.
Yeah.
Because it's a PC. They just crammed a PC into the smallest rectangle they could with a screen on it,
which is pretty big, and
they slap controllers on the side and they slap ports on the top, so you could plug it into a monitor and use it as a I guess if you could use it as your gaming PC if you wanted to, right? And so it's if you look at picture, no one's held it, at least I haven't held it, so I can't say whether it's comfy or whatever, but I can tell you that looking at it, it doesn't look comfy, and the Steam controller was a debacle.
Yeah.
So this doesn't look great. The thing that really stands out about it being bad is that it has, two like touchpads on.
Yeah, remember the touchpad they put on the Steam controller? That thing was...
Touchpads in the Steam controller weren't great. Even if these are as great as like the Magic touchpads that Apple makes, two of them, one on each thumb, is not amazing.
Also, what I don't like is the buttons and all the controls, like the actual like ABXY buttons.
Way near the top and way near the edge. It's like...
Yeah, like I imagine putting my thumbs up there.
I could be wrong, but it doesn't look comfy.
Yeah. Now...
just what I know about, the world, it looks big and heavy. It does it, and it
weighs a little more than twice what a Switch weighs. And already, maybe because I'm approaching 40, but if I'm laying on my back, like in bed, playing the Switch, like up over my face, my arms get tired after an hour or so. I don't know if I could play an hour or so laying in my bed with something that weighs more than twice what a Switch weighs.
It doesn't weigh as much as a Game Gear, but it's close, right?
Yep. Caveat, we actually tried to look up how much a Game Gear weighs, and literally every website I went to listed a different number.
It also is going to depend on what batteries you put in the Game Gear.
Yeah.
This has built-in batteries, so it's a little different.
But we'll see. I'm not saying this is a bad device. I don't know. Valve has a mixed track record on hardware.
Valve has never done well with hardware they've made.
So Valve VR hardware, best in breed.
They didn't make that. HTC made it and they bought it.
Yeah, true. But that's their Index.
They didn't buy this. They made this.
Yeah, but their Index VR, because it's theirs now, is like best in breed, bar none.
It's not hardware that they made.
Yeah.
That doesn't count.
Hey, maybe they got some of those people and had them work on this. Like, I don't know.
The hardware that Valve has made on its own from nothing is all garbage.
I think the problem I have...
Link thing, garbage.
The problem I have here is more that
garbage.
Most of the games I at least play on Steam are PC games that kind of assume you're using a mouse and keyboard or like a joystick.
Exactly. There's basically no game on Steam that I want to play portably.
Hades might be the only one, but you know what? I could also have Hades on Switch. Like, it's there and it's fine.
It doesn't matter. So yeah, I don't know.
Although the listener actually points out something. Nobody can get fucking video cards. This thing actually might be a gaming PC for you if you can't get a video card.
So here's the thing. It could be a gaming PC for you. Valve claims that every game that they have tried on Steam runs on the Steam Deck, all right, and that it runs at 30 FPS. However, they didn't say anything about the settings. So this means, obviously, they could get any game they tried by adjusting the settings and turning down your graphics a whole bunch. You could eventually get it to run it at 30 FPS. Guess what? If you don't have a video card, because video cards are expensive, you can buy like an NVIDIA 770, right? A 8-10-year-old, who knows how old, right? A very old card.
Those are actually weirdly hard to get right now because no one can get video cards. You realize Emily's using a 770 right now. That is the best we could get.
Sure, but if you had a 770 and you turn the settings down, you could run every game at 30 FPS. You can get the integrated CPU video card. You like the Intel IG.
I'll go one step further. I play a lot of Steam games on my HTPC, which is very old. It has a GT 450M in it.
Yeah, a 450M can play just about every game at 30 FPS.
Yeah,
with the settings turned down. So it's not really that different. Just any video card you can get is going to be as good as this little thing. So there's no reason to buy this for its horsepower capabilities. The only reason you would buy this is your arms are super strong. For some reason, it's comfier than it looks. You really, really want to play PC games on the go, and you don't have any other existing device that already does it. This really just seems bad. I was very shocked that people reacted positively to
like when I fly,
it looks to me like a bunch of garbage.
Like when I fly somewhere, like, you know, obviously in a pre-COVID world,
the biggest Steam fanboy who's had Steam since the day Steam existed.
I just have a laptop and I just plug a controller into a laptop and play them on like planes and things, like, or I have my Switch.
A better experience.
Oh, almost definitely. So we'll see. I'm not going to pre-order one of these.
I'd love it to be proven wrong because, you know, but
if this thing is good, I'll probably buy one.
I won't, but I
travel a lot.
I'll acknowledge that it's good if I'm wrong, but I don't see any world in which I buy one, even if it's somehow perfect.
Like once we're in a post-COVID world,
I have an iPad and a Switch. What the hell do I need another thing for?
Like for me, once we're in a post-COVID world, like my normal life, not during a pandemic, is I travel a lot, like a lot.
I have an iPad and a Switch and an upgraded GBA and a DS Lite and a 3DS. Why do I need this? Even if it's amazing.
And so the other thing about it is the cheapest one, the $400 one, only has 64 gigabytes of space, which is like 2 games.
You put an SD card in there. It's fine.
But also,
at least it's, you know,
it's slow storage. You don't get NVMe, like you don't get real SSDs unless you buy the 2 big ones.
So your load times will be slower, but that's not a big deal. You're already willing to play at 30 FPS. So what do you care if the
on a pretty small screen? That's the other thing. Most PC games
it's not
assume
a magnetic spinning disc. It's still going to be fast enough.
Oh yeah, but here's the other problem.
NVMe will just be a little bit faster. You probably might not even be able to tell the difference for most games.
Most games I play on a PC assume I'm looking at a gigantic monitor of some kind. Yeah, I'm very curious how many games are actually playable and readable on this tiny screen.
Yeah, you could like play Civ on this, but it wouldn't
Yeah,
be,
without a mouse,
Civ-
using those tiny little touchpads.
I think you're better off buying Civ 6 for iPad than buying it and but then again,
Absolutely.
if you play it on here, you don't have to buy it again. If I want to play Civ 6 on iPad, I have to buy it again. That you don't get it, but here it's like it's your existing Steam libraries. You won't have to buy games again, and that is, I think, the one big selling point of this is that since it's your Steam library, you've already bought the games.
Yep.
Whereas if you were to buy a Switch or an iPad or whatever other gaming device, you don't have any software to start with. So if I had a Steam Deck, I could just play Quake immediately.
Now, here's the other thing. This news came out. You can sign up for reservations. You realize this shit is not available until at the earliest Q2 2022. We're talking a year from now.
Less
like
than
June,
now.
A little less than a year, like
8,
Q2. So April, May, April at the earliest, or like April, like June-ish.
Yeah, 8 or 9 months. Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
12.
that's a pretty long. Like at that point, I'll just wait and see.
Yeah, this thing will look sadder then than it does now, right? Because there'll be 9 other months of stuff getting better.
Yep. By then, who knows? By then, you might have like a Switch Pro. Like who even knows what's gonna happen?
Not that soon.
Yeah. But anyway, things of the day. So we haven't played it much lately. We've just been busy. But Star Wars Squadrons, fucking fantastic game. Like utterly fantastic game. Works with VR like perfectly, but also is totally fine with the same interface if you don't do VR. Like it's a perfect storm. Motive has published an article that goes into extreme depth on how they did this and also how they made a VR game that is so accessible and involves it doesn't cause motion sickness. All the problems you expect from VR aren't there in a game where you're flying around at breakneck speed in a spaceship. They actually go into specific details on how they made that happen. Like, here is the exact things they did to make this work. And this article is just phenomenal. It goes into a level of depth that I was surprised they posted publicly. And if you are even remotely interested in VR games of any kind, especially from a development standpoint, this is a must-read series of articles. Little things like, I'll give you a tiny example. If you notice when you play Star Wars Squadrons, when you turn in any direction, like you're rotating your ship, the pivot point is around your head, not the center of the ship. And this article explains why one of those causes extreme vomit and the other one causes zero discomfort. Mm-hmm. It's just a really, really neat
article. But of course, that's not real. If you were in a real ship, it would pivot around itself and not your head.
Exactly. An F-16 does not... Well, also, it's their spaceships, so...
Right. But also, if you were to design a ship, right, for a human to fly, you would have it move in such a way... Right? You would design the ship so that maybe your head is near the center of gravity.
Ooh, you don't need to, though. The only reason you need to...
You don't
need to. Well, what I'm saying is, the only reason you do this in VR is because one of the things that causes motion sickness is when your brain detects certain kinds of motion through your eyes, but your inner ear says, hold up, slow down, buckaroo. I didn't feel that. You must be poisoned. Like, pretty literally, it's like, well, something's wrong. You'd better vomit because you must have eaten something bad. Like, that is literally part of what's going on.
Yeah, that's true. But I'm just saying, the X-Wings and TIE Fighters are not realistic designs.
Yep.
And if the designs of the ships were different, you may not have to do some of the things that they have done.
That is true as well. Mm-hmm. So what do you got?
So I learned today, you might have already known about this, but
I did not know. So I did not know about this. I just skimmed through this video. I played a similar game in like long ago, but not this.
Okay. So there's a game I heard about today, which it seems like such an obvious game. How could I not have known about this game? It's called Foot Down, and it's a real simple game. Everyone gets on their bicycles. And you ride in a circle within a restricted area.
It's got to be a small area or this would be dangerous as fuck.
And this is a beautiful game because the way it works is it's basically impossible. You don't need a referee. You don't need penalties. It's just a perfect, beautiful game. So simple. You bike around in a circle and then you start. And if you put your foot down on the ground, you're out. Or if you leave the bounds of the game area, you're also out. And the last person remaining wins. The only thing you might need to make this game perfect would be to have like, a video for instant replay in case two people put their foot down like at the same time and they're the last two people. It doesn't matter if they're not the last two people, right? It doesn't matter who went out first. It only matters if the two or the
in the most
are
extreme
too close to
situation,
call.
you could have something like if it were an Olympic sport, like with fencing, have sensors on the shoes that detect the slightest touch on the ground.
Yeah, something like that. But yeah, it's a beautiful, beautiful game I didn't know existed. Right?
It looks super fun. I legit want to play it.
In this video, they discuss variants. They say that like in professional, like top tier foot down, when you put your foot down, you leave your bicycle behind to create an obstacle.
Ooh.
But some people don't do that because it could be a threat to their bicycle. But they say that in their games, they've only had minor bicycle damage.
Yeah, I can say like because you've never been mountain biking. A mountain bike will survive pretty much anything except landing on another mountain bike.
Yeah. They are playing on mountain bikes. I feel like this would be better off playing on this actually would be a good use for a fixie. I feel like you want a mountain fixie to play
because then you can brace against the pedals and that also braces your rear wheel.
Yep.
Like in a way.
In this video, which a couple years old and has a ton of views, that you are taught the game. They show you a lot of interesting gameplay out in the square driveway. And they also build a battle bike with which to, play foot down with. So I'm liking this foot down. The only thing stopping me from playing it is that I already own 2 bicycles, none of which are any good for playing foot down with. I would need a third bicycle.
This reminds me a lot of Luke Burridge's spurt. The Friday night fight, like competitive versus juggling.
Yeah. That's very similar, in its format of, eliminating people, right? You juggle, and when you lose a club, that's it. You're out. So.
It's also very Smash Brothers adjacent in that regard.
Yeah, it's elimination.
Like your strategy could be just stay away from everyone.
I mean, elimination is a great game format. Just look at PUBGs and Fortnites and whatever. It's those just took it to the next level by having 100 people. It's like why not have 100 people play foot down in a giant field?
This would be.
And then, but the problem is, as people get eliminated, the field gets. Is still big. You need to shrink the field, which is what PUBG does. It shrinks the field.
So I think this would be very hard to play on a road bike.
Impossible. You need a mountain bike or a fixie or something.
I could do it.
You can lower your center of gravity. Something that can take some bonks.
Well, like real mountain bikes, you can hit a button and your seat just retracts down, like out of your way. You'd want something like that.
You could do that. But yeah, like a road bike is unstable when not at speed.
Yeah, it's like an F-16. Like road bikes are very twitchy.
I worry you could play this obviously with BMX bikes. That would be very easy to do. You get pegs and everything. You could stand on, do all kinds of stuff. But that might actually be too easy and too hard to force people to put their foot.
You'd have to attack people more aggressively, which could lead to more injuries with the BMX bike.
I think BMX would be a little more dangerous if you're doing it that way, but certainly viable.
Yeah, but also, you know what this fits into? Because again, you haven't really mountain bike.
If you used BMX bikes, you could play on like one of those BMX, like a skate park or a BMX park, and get ramps going in. You go up a ramp, come down, and slam into somebody.
Yeah, that gets I think again
injury city.
So another reason why this works so well for mountain bikes, and the reason it works so well as a sport, because again, you've never mountain biked. One of the main things you do to practice and get good at technical mountain biking is biking extremely slowly over like very specific obstacles. Like being able to stop and just stand on your bike with no trouble is a skill you need to have. Being able to hop up on just your front wheel, hop up on just your rear wheel. Those are the kinds of drills I had to do back when I mountain biked. Like that's the kind of stuff there is no way there is no possibility I could get on my front wheel on my hybrid bike safely. I would hurt myself immediately if I tried to do that. I think
it's not the right jump.
I think I'm going to try it. I think I might be able to barely do it for like 10 seconds at most.
I mean, I think we've done things of the day showing trials biking people who are like, bouncing basically doing parkour with their bike, right? Riding on really thin rails, bouncing all around.
You do that slow as practice to be able to do it fast when you're mountain biking where now it's life or death. Anyway, I want to play the shit out of this sport. This looks so fun.
It's going to be hard to get a game of foot down together.
Why don't we just get some shitty mountain bikes and play it ourselves? I'm talking like, well, now it's hard because
where am I going to put it?
So our bike room is pretty much empty at this point. Like for some reason, like
Okay, well, then go use your money. And
Here's
buy
the
several
problem.
shitty mountain bikes.
even like I got some bike work done recently. Every bike shop is out of parts. No one can get anything. No one can get new bikes. Like there is a bike supply chain crisis going on right now. So I'm not gonna wait.
Supply chain crisis.
Yep. I'll tell you what. Once the supply chain crisis is down and like we're post-COVID,
Oh, okay,
I will.
so 2030.
Yeah, like I will at that point look into getting 2 like piece of shit mountain bikes. Like I'm talking like my old hardtail Schwinn.
We can find some New York City foot down league. Or
The two of us should go play it if that is the case. I'll get us some shitty mountain bikes and we'll go. I'm talking like some 90s Schwinn mountain bikes, like hardtails.
New York City.
In fact, I bet a hardtail would almost be easier. Depending. I can already think of ways I might customize a bike that would almost be cheating to be better at this. Anyway.
I'm looking for if there's a foot down meetup in.
All right, well, you look that up. In the meta moment, the GeekNights Book Club book, The Tale of Genji. I'm actually plugging along as Genji sleepwalks through his life. Spoilers.
You're just gonna say that every time.
Because Genji doesn't grow or change as a person, as far as I can see.
Every single episode, Sleepwalk Through Life. So
Yeah.
say that over and over.
What I'm curious about is I'm about to be out of town. There won't be any Geek Nights next week.
Good. I'll have time to do other things.
Yeah, but I'm gonna have a lot of time to read more Genji. I want to see if Genji grows as a person at any point. And I'm hoping I'll read enough in one go to encounter Genji becoming a better person. Or a worse person. A worse person would also be interesting. But you should read The Tale of Genji. 1, because we're going to finish it before around the end of summer and do a show on it. 2, it's the first novel ever written by a human. I feel like you should try to experience the first of anything just to know where things came from. We've said that before about anime, like watch Astro Boy. We've said that about comics. We've said that about video games, like play Pong. I know there were games before Pong, but anyway. But 2, we will not be at PAX West 2021. I'm going to actually post an announcement about that, partly because
we sort of announced that already.
We've announced it several times on the show, but I'm going to make a new, like an official post about it because I've noticed something over the years at PAXs. A lot of people, like the average Geek Nights fan, does not listen to the Geek Nights podcast, does not engage in the Geek Nights community, does not go to the Geek Nights website. So we'll be at a PAX, and a lot of people will see us and just walk up and be like, "Oh, Raymond Scott, big fan. Are you doing anything at this PAX? Like, what's your panel this year?" Like, we post this shit. I know you don't read it, but anyway, so I want to make it abundantly clear that we are not going to be there because we think it is unsafe. We are not attending PAX West because we don't think it's going to be safe to go to.
Yep,
we're disappointed in PAX for running.
Same, right? PAX did, to their credit, change their policy. They are now going to require that everyone at PAX either has been vaccinated or has, I guess, a recent-ish negative test. I don't know how they're going to check for these things.
There are some way, like in New York State, there's a way to check for that, but I don't know about.
Yeah, sure, but
in Washington, with people flying there, how are you going to do that?
Regardless, that's their new policy.
Well, that's moot because that is a load-bearing ore.
Sure, that is an improvement over the policy they had before, but it's just not good enough, right? It is not safe to have the PAX at this time, in my opinion. And
especially because it's 30 days out and Delta's getting worse.
When we say, I don't want anyone to be confused. When we say we're not going to a convention with, a mask or a social distancing requirement, that is not because we believe that those things are ineffective or we don't want to comply with those things. Because most people who would say, right, I'm not going somewhere where I got to wear a mask are anti-vax, bad people, get them out of here. If you're one of those people, stop listening to this show. When we say that, we're saying, look, if it's not safe enough in the world for us to have a large gathering with no masks and no special, social distancing requirements, then it is, in our opinion, not safe enough to have a large gathering, period. So if there is a large gathering, I will not go to it. Regardless of what the, it's like, you could, if they had kit packs and said no masks, right? I
still wouldn't go.
I still wouldn't go because it's not safe enough. It's not safe enough to go.
Yep, we will not. So
it's not safe enough to go, period.
So to be abundantly specifically clear, Geek Nights will not appear at or attend any convention, wear masks, and or social distancing measures are prudent and necessary. If they are prudent and necessary, the con should not happen. In one last little bit, our panel from the last PAX Online Camp PAX, which was a fantastic event.
We can go to online PAX, no problem. Very safe.
It was a really good.
To go to online.
It was actually a really good online PAX. Like I had a lot of fun with it, and there's a bunch of panels I still got to watch VODs of. But our panel,
watch the keynote with the Jackbox. Video.
You saw they're selling a TKO shirt that's all the TKO characters, like the monsters.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's a really good shirt. But our panel is on YouTube. We'll link to it. Atari Game Design. The people who watched the panel live with us in the Discord and on Twitch were super chill. People asked really good questions. These online PAXs, like the people who ask questions in the chat, why aren't you people at real PAXs asking those questions? Why are the questions from the audience at PAX the worst possible questions?
Because at PAX Online is obviously only the people who are like super PAX.
True.
They care a lot, so you're gonna get a better, selection. Whereas at regular PAX, you got people who just walked in, off the whatever.
Yep. So that panel, Atari Game Design, is just on YouTube. You can just watch it. I think I linked to the slides. I linked to the list of the games. And even if you don't watch it, the thing I do want to tell you, go find a ROM of an Atari game called Pitfall 2. Because if you've never heard of this game and have no idea what the deal is, you will be like shocked that this is a game that was literally on an Atari 2600 cartridge. It is amazing that this game exists. And that said, Pokémon UNITE. The fact that a Pokémon MOBA was announced actually got me pretty excited.
We did talk about this when it was news. We said, hey, they announced a Pokemon MOBA. It's it's going to be a real thing. And I completely forgot about it until it came out. And it came out, I guess, within the week, right?
Yep.
Maybe a week ago-ish.
I played enough matches to be able to play ranked competitive Pokemon UNITE.
As soon as a couple days after it came out, I played it. And then I played it again yesterday. And now I'm ready to discuss. So this Pokemon MOBA, it actually has... at the core of the gameplay is actually a great idea and a great mechanic that improves MOBAs significantly. The way it works is you're Pokemon and you go around the map and I guess in other MOBAs it's called jungling, but basically you're doing PvE. You're fighting these Pokemon that are just on the map.
They kind of just stand there and let you beat them up.
They don't really fight back too hard. Some of them do, the strong ones, but you can just beat up on them pretty easily. You beat up on them and you collect little gemmies, right? And then what you have to do is you go to the enemy territory and there are these rings.
They're like basketball hoops.
Basically basketball hoops. You slam dunk your points that you've collected. You haven't collected any points. There's no reason to dunk.
There's no point.
Right. You collect victory points, but then you have to go into enemy territory to score them. And that mechanic alone solves a lot of what I would all complain about with MOBAs, right? It's like, oh, you're playing Dota. The goal is to destroy this ancient thing in the back. Okay, I'll go directly to the ancient thing and try to score right away by damaging it. That doesn't do shit, right? That's an awful idea in Dota, right? To score points is a bad idea. What kind of stupid game that does?
No, you got a last hit and you got a micro.
Right, in Pokemon UNITE, you can score points immediately. It is in your best interest to score points immediately. You're always if you want to win, you are effectively either always scoring points or defending and preventing the other team from scoring points.
Yep, wall leveling up faster than them, and
if you're playing competitively, you are focused on scoring from the beginning to the end of the match. And secondly, the match will always be, assuming a team doesn't forfeit, which can happen.
So I looked at my stats. Almost every match I played where we won, the enemy team forfeit.
We'll get to that. We'll get to that. The game is exactly 10 minutes long. All the other MOBAs, they could end quickly if a team gets routed. They could go long, but they're usually 40 minutes-ish, right? 10-minute battles, that is like a really good time.
It feels good. Like playing it was fun. The games end like
enough that you had a substantial game that wasn't just, over too quickly, but it's not so long that it drags out. It is a very nice time length for this type of game.
Yep.
Great. Now, the thing is, the game is still a MOBA. So
but the mechanics are a little bit different here in that it's definitely simpler in terms of like how you interact with the game, how you
That is
attack.
true.
Like a lot of MOBAs have like your characters have a like depending on what attack you're using, you'll really only have 3 different attacks equipped at any given time.
The biggest simplification is simply that there's no item shop or whatever. It's just
Well, there is, but outside of the match.
no. There's no item shop while you're playing the
Yes.
match, right? Which is usually the most complicated and most significant part of your Dotas and your
Yep.
LoLs, right?
You just have the item or items you picked before the match, and that's it.
We'll talk about you're getting ahead of yourself here, right? So you're Pokemon, and Pokemon is like the perfect thing for a MOBA. You have so many characters, you have so many Pokemon there are, hundreds of Pokemon,
Yep.
right? No problem. And you pick your Pokemon, you start out as a low, unevolved Pokemon. I picked Gengar, but I started out as fucking, little ghastly guy, and then you level up over the course of the match, like you do in a MOBA.
And they got
eventually-
16 to start, like Absol's there, Lucario, Venusaur, like it's a good mix.
Yeah, they got enough Pokemon where it's interesting, and they're already adding a Pokemon, so they're not wasting any time in increasing the number of Pokemon.
Not that you can play with all these Pokemon right away, but I'm getting ahead of myself again.
You are. You pick a Pokemon, you start out unevolved, you level up, you evolve, right? And that makes it easier to kill.
And it's
enemies
real
and-
fun. And you get your first level real quick, unless you are like terrible at this game. And you basically, every time you level up, like you'll learn a new move. And once you've got 2 moves, you can choose to replace one of your moves with another move, or just keep the move you already got. And the moves are all like pretty radically different.
Very Pokemon-esque. The moves are very interesting, but also very easy to understand.
Yep.
You're playing the MOBA. It can't be overstated. You're playing this MOBA on the Switch using twin stick, right, and buttons, which is the way all MOBAs should have been controlled. The RTS controls in MOBAs are nonsense. There's no reason that that's the way a game where you control an individual unit you would use mouse and keyboard RTS controls.
You could just skip the tutorial, dive into this game, mash buttons, and you'll figure it out in like 30 seconds.
MOBAs are controlled that way is because the first MOBAs were Warcraft 3 mods, right? And so that they controlled that way. That is a dumb control scheme, right? For controlling a single character. The twin stick gamepad control is perfect for this kind of game. It always has been. I don't know why Dota and LoL should change their controls to be gamepad based. But Pokemon's doing it the right way. So that's pretty much I guess there's a few other positive things. There's some interesting mechanics in
those are the mechanics I want to call out, because we're not going to explain everything in the game, because
there's a lot of things in the game to
but
explain.
the mechanics that are really interesting that I think are also improvements on the MOBA format. So this is similar. Other MOBAs do a similar thing. If you score enough points in one of the hoops, you blow that hoop up, and your team kind of controls that area more now.
So that's effectively similar to like destroying towers in MOBA, like pressuring a lane.
But it
So
also
that
means you can't just milk one tower. You've got to like diversify and go attack something else at some point.
Right. Now, the towers, the hoops, behind each hoop is this sort of speed lane that goes back to your base along the road.
Yep, so you can get back to your defensive zone way faster.
Well, right. When you're in your side of the map, in your speed lanes, you go faster. If you're behind an enemy hoop, you in their speed lane, you go slower. But if you destroy a hoop, you're destroying the speed lane behind it until the next hoop.
Yep.
So when you destroy a hoop, scoring more points means you're going to have to go deeper into enemy territory, but you'll be able to get deeper into enemy territory easier because the slowdown lane is gone, and also the enemies will have a harder time getting out of their lane, into your territory because they lost their speed up zone.
But there's still 2 lanes. Like there's hoops on either side. Like there's 2 lanes and then a jungle in the middle.
If you take out the top hoop, you don't have to go.
So you could see a match where you take out the bottom hoop, but they take out the top hoop, and you're still like pretty evenly matched. You both have the same advantage.
Springboard. So if you die and respawn, you can step on the springboard to sort of jump out into the battlefield quickly.
It took me a second to figure out the controls for that. It actually wasn't that intuitive.
It's not that intuitive. It's a little bit annoying. You have to use the right stick. It's kind of meh.
Yep.
But it's at least mechanically it's good. The other interesting mechanic that I like is that sometimes at the top of the map a Rotom will appear, or at the bottom of the map this other Pokemon, I forget his name. Will
And
appear.
other maps will have similar things.
Yeah, they're special. Apparently, this is also a mechanic that was in League of Legends that I just didn't know about. And if you kill those Pokemon, right, then special things happen. So what can happen sometimes is like if a Rotom appears, both teams will sort of go to the Rotom because you want to be the team that kills it because then it'll join you and do awesome shit.
Though, in my experience, 100% of the matches I played, the team that wasted their time doing that, they got crushed.
Oh,
because the other team just went and scored.
It worked out well for us if we actually.
Interesting.
When I played, like, the teams would be fighting over the Rotom, right? We'd all go there. You'd be fighting each other. And then it's like, well, if you kill all the enemies first, now the Rotom's just sitting there. You have to fight it a little bit. You can't, like, if you try to go kill it on your own and no one helps you, it's strong enough it'll stop you.
So another really good mechanic, and this is when you're starting the match, because this game, you click, I want to play, and you're in a match, like, instantly. Like, it's pretty good about that. Now, it's Nintendo, no voice chat, like, obviously, which is honestly a giant pain in the ass, because I hate playing team games without voice chat, but this game does do something pretty good. A big problem with team games is that people who play them tend to not play with the team. When you start the match, Nintendo made it really easy you hit, like, ZL, I think, and it opens a menu, and you can just tell the team which of the 3 lanes you're going to go after at the start of the match. It'll even put a little route for you to remind you where to go if you do that, and it shows you what other members of your team have chosen for their lane. So you can pretty easily make a plan without having to talk to other people that is like the bare minimum coordination you need to be able to play a MOBA. That's a pretty good design decision. If they made it more complex, people wouldn't use it. If they didn't put that there, this game would devolve to kids like mashing A in the jungle and like not coordinating.
Right.
I saw it work pretty well, and I saw people using it.
Yeah, I saw a little bit of use of it, but not that much.
So
yeah, overall, it's a simpler MOBA, but in many ways, there's still enough gameplay there that it's interesting and fun. And
I enjoyed it a lot. I actually would play it more. Like, I would play it more.
More elegant and more well-designed than the popular MOBAs. I think it might be, in terms of the things we've discussed so far, it may be the best big-time MOBA. I don't know, there might be some small MOBA out there I've never heard of, right? But in terms of the big MOBAs, it may be the best one based on those aspects.
And up to a point, skill does matter, because I was playing matches mostly with people who haven't leveled shit up or bought anything outside of a match. We'll get to that, the reason why this game is bullshit. But, and the matches, 100% of the matches I played were either a ridiculous snowball victory or a crushing, we are trapped in our spawn for the entire match defeat.
Yes.
At no point did I ever encounter a match that was even remotely close or fair. And I played a ton of matches.
Yeah. Gameplay wise, that is the biggest failing of this game, is that it is still a MOBA. You are still statefully within the context of one match, leveling up. And
if you level up a little bit faster than the other team, and you
level up faster than the other team, then you can basically one-shot them, right? And now they can't do anything. Every single match I played, not like most, all 100% of the matches I played, even when one team, like, it was all noobs who didn't know what the hell was going on, including myself, or when they were clearly pros who knew what they were doing.
Yep.
Every match, everyone was a landslide from one team or the other.
I'm talking scores of like 890 to 20.
I saw a 900 to less than 100 in one match.
I had a match where the other team got 0. We trapped them in their spawn until eventually they all quit. They forfeit.
It didn't matter if, one match someone was AFK, the team, or there was sometimes a reason for the landslide, but in the 5 versus 5 matches where both teams played hard the whole time, or at least appeared to, always a landslide victory or a landslide loss. Leveling up faster than the other team as soon as, right? And a lot of games, they did, thankfully, include a forfeiting mechanic. Your team can vote to quit.
And that is 90% of all the games I played ended in the other team forfeiting.
As soon as you're behind by some levels, just resign. What are you going to do to catch up? It's like if you try to go out and like level up some more, the other team will be scoring points. If you try to go stop them from scoring points, but defense, they'll kill you.
So even worse,
than you. If you try to score points right behind their back, they'll kill you.
They'll just kill you.
They're just better than you. It's like they've leveled up more. What can you do? No skill that you have is going to let you, like, at a lower level, kill the enemy team or do anything to set them back. And being killed puts you out of the game, so you have to respawn, making you fall further behind because the time while you're dead, the other team is getting XP and you're waiting to respawn.
Even worse. Now, maybe I'm wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong. You cannot see the score until the end of the match.
You might be able to. I think if you like press a button.
I tried every
up the
fucking button I could
score.
find, like, and I could not find a way to see the score.
I think if you open up the score screen that shows like the sort of like the equivalent of pressing tab in Counter-Strike.
I gotta check again.
It's there somewhere. But yes, it makes no sense to me at the top.
Why
of
isn't
the
it just
screen,
the score just there, like in a basketball match?
The score should absolutely be. That's the only problem with the user interface. At the top of the screen in humongous numbers, the score should be there constantly.
Yep, because as a player, I will change my strategy. Like early on, depending on anything happening in that score, I will be making decisions based on that score. Just like watch NHL hockey.
I'll just defend. Why am I scoring points?
Yeah.
Right?
So, but the other problem is that the game instead will pop up things that will say it's a pretty close match or you're falling behind.
I've never seen a message that says it's a pretty close match.
I saw it once
struggling
in the very beginning because we both had someone rush out and score like 10 points right away, and it was like it said like it's a pretty close match, and then 30 seconds later it said we're winning by a lot. And it was over.
We're winning by a lot, or our team is suffering.
What does it say? You're really struggling to catch up, is what it says.
Yeah, that one. Yeah.
Basically, if you see it say you're struggling to catch up, your team will probably vote to quit within 10 seconds of that message.
You should vote to quit if you see that message. There's no reason to continue playing.
I don't think. I think maybe 3 matches I played made it to the end of the 10 minutes.
I've made it to the end of 10 minutes quite often, but it was always a landslide.
Yeah.
The one other mechanic in the game I forgot to mention is there is at the end of the match, because it is timed, and the final minute, it like doubles, like all the points go way up. So that could be an interesting catch-up mechanic. For, like, the team that's behind, they could go and like they could hold their, don't die, hold the balls you've collected, and don't dunk them, and wait for the final minute, then go on a dunk spree to score a ton of points and catch up, like a surprise come from behind victory. I'm sure that's what they were thinking of. The problem is it's activated for both teams. So the team that's ahead just scores a whole bunch of points. And
and the team that's behind, they're already behind. There's no way for them to possibly score points during that time. It
only serves as like a fun way to make the end of the match exciting. It doesn't really provide any meaning mechanically speaking. So now, that all the good parts of the game, the bad parts of this game.
This game is I'm going to say it right here. I know Kotaku, there was a controversy about this game is shit. And it is shit because the game is free to play, microtransactions to hell, and it's cosmetics and game affecting stuff.
Yep, it is a pay to win.
You have to pay to get more Pokemon. You gotta pay to get more items. You have to both grind. You have to grind and pay.
You don't have to grind and pay. You can pay or grind. So the microtransaction stuff is all over the place.
It's extreme. There's 3 different stores.
Like several different shops and different currencies and all different ways to get different.
So I played for like
level that goes up.
So last night I played for like 4 hours.
A game in there.
I played 4 hours continuously.
That's a lot more than I've played.
Yeah, that was just last night. I played for 4 hours. I just played and played and played. And at the end of that, I had like 4,000 coins. To unlock a new Pokemon was like 13,000 coins, and there's 16 Pokemon.
No, it's not. I've never seen a Pokemon that costs 13. They all cost 8 or 10.
I saw one. I'm pretty sure one cost 13 for me.
I don't know.
To get like the Unite Pass or whatever. There's so many things to unlock that I don't understand them all.
Right. So yeah, I can't even explain them.
There's
too many
items like you start with this bullshit item that you can hold, and
so there are cosmetic things. Cosmetic things are expensive, but they're cosmetic things, so you can ignore them.
Yep.
And everything you can buy with either the points that you earn by playing or with the points that you get by spending money.
I don't think it is possible to get everything in the game just by playing in the heat death of the universe time frame.
Okay, so every single item in the game there's nothing that is exclusively pay only that I saw, and there is nothing exclusively grind only that I saw. Everything is you can achieve anything by either method, but you're correct. The prices on everything were ludicrous, right? It's like to unlock a Pokemon is 10,000 points. If you play this game just regularly, I'm almost at 10,000 points. I think I have 9,000, so I can unlock one more Pokemon. to spend money to unlock a Pokemon, 10,000, enough. It's a different currency, but to basically get enough currency with real dollars to unlock a Pokemon is going to be, I calculated, close to $10.
Yeah, and there's 16 Pokemon.
Yeah, so that's already $150.
$150 if you want all the Pokemon,
Now,
and the only item you're gonna have is the leftover apple.
The reason I was able to get to 10,000, almost 10,000 coins, is because there's so many bonuses, like things to achieve when you start playing. You're brand new at the game. If I spent all those on a Pokemon, the amount of time it would take me to earn enough from 0 without all these starting bonuses as a new player to get to 10,000 again to buy another Pokemon would be a very long time. If I played regularly, I would get there, but it would take a while. And to get all the Pokemon would take, especially because they're already adding another Pokemon, to get all of them over time, ungrindable. You will have to pay money if you want all of them.
That's BS. I'll get like games I play. If they're competitive, every character is just unlocked from day one. That's not where they make their money.
Right. So cosmetic things, they're cosmetic. We don't care. That's fine. Right. Make your money. Pokemon. Okay. If you don't have access to all the Pokemon, is it truly purely competitive? As long as you can unlock enough, you can unlock plenty. I already have they give you plenty of.
And Pokemon are broken up into basically like tanks. Like tank/support, defense, melee, offense, like whatever. Yeah. They're in categories.
So you'll have enough Pokemon. Plus, it does the same thing League of Legends does, where depending on what day it is, different Pokemon are just unlocked by default for everybody.
Yep. There's they're all on the Pareto frontier as far as I can see for the most part.
Some of them are OP, but balancing is happening.
Yep.
But yeah, you're going to have enough Pokemon to play with at any given time. Is that really a big deal that you don't have every Pokemon unlocked? Not necessarily, but the final thing, and this is what really ruins it, is Pokemon can, much like in the real Pokemon game, Pokemon can hold items. So, and your trainer level determines how many items Pokemon can hold. So if you're less than trainer level 7, I think it's 7, your Pokemon can hold 1 item. If you level up more, your Pokemon can hold 2 items. And if you level up even more, eventually your Pokemon can hold 3 items.
Game-affecting items.
Game-affecting items. There's an item like an apple core that I have. It's like a free Garbo item I got.
You slowly heal some piddly amount of health.
Heal all the time. There's another item plus special attack. So I played against someone who was using Gengar, and they clearly, I could tell based on what was on the screen, they had spent money. Clearly, they had spent money.
And I'll tell you, anyone who spent money.
At the start of the match, their Gengar was just one-shotting. It wasn't a Gengar yet, but basically they were one-shotting our team out of the gate. They leveled up way faster. It was a landslide. We were trapped in our spawn.
Yep. If you don't pay, you'll lose. Money. If you pay, you'll win.
There was no way for me to beat that person without also spending money. Absolutely no way. No amount of skill or decision-making, Pokemon choice, team coordination, nothing we could have done could have overcome the power of the fact that that person spent
But think about this. You got to grind and pay.
Before it started.
You got to grind and pay to get Pokemon. You got to grind and pay to have item slots. And you got to grind and pay.
10 players did not appear to have spent money. One player spending money tilted the whole game.
But there are 15 different types of items. And within those types, there's different levels. And you'll never get these items.
Yes, that's exactly right. Not only do you need to get the rare items, right, that are the strongest, best items to go with your Pokemon.
And they're going to add more items and more Pokemon.
Sure. And level yourself up enough to be able to use 3 items at once. You need to level up the items themselves. There's things you can get to spend on items to upgrade them. So you need to get your items maxed out. Right? If you do that, who's going to beat you unless someone else had also spent money? Because to get the items, to unlock the slots, and to level up all 3 items for each Pokemon, right? The amount of grinding you would have to do to get all of that maxed out is basically an impossibly long amount of time.
Your trainer can also have an item.
Oh, right, but you get the potion, right, item.
But there's more items, and guess what? Same story.
There are more trainer items. So, like, you get a potion, so your trainer holds potion, and that means you can push X to heal, and then the potion cools down. But obviously, if you get better items, I'm sure this super potion or hyper potion or whatever somewhere, right? So, yeah, it is a MOBA that is elegantly designed. Pokemon are fun. We like Pokemon. Pokemon goes great with MOBA. They made a lot of changes to the MOBA format that are positive, though they didn't change it enough. You can still level up in Landslide.
Yep.
But at the end of the day, it's a pay-to-win game, and that ruins everything else.
Yep. So, and it sucks because the game is fun, and they have ruined it. I honestly advise you to never play it because if you want to be good at this game, buy everything, spend money, and you'll be the goddamn world champion.
Again, I think if you played in a match where everyone spent money and had everything maxed out,
that is true.
Then you would be, and everyone was skilled, because there is some amount of skill decision making going on.
You will never achieve that level.
If you dedicate your life and decide, because it's still early, this game is not even a week old. If you have a bunch of money you got nothing to do with, because you're just rich, and you have nothing better to do, and you love Pokemon and you love MOBAs, and this game is your game. You could spend all your fucking money on it, hundreds and hundreds of dollars, and you could become the champion of Pokemon UNITE. But I would encourage you not to do this. Look at the history of the way Nintendo has treated esports. That is not a road you want to go down. If you want to be an esports person, wait for a different game from a different company to spend your life on. A game that will treat its esport community with more respect than the one Nintendo does.
And also, I don't know why. You know who helped make this game? This was also Tencent. It was a Tencent game in collaboration with Game Freak.
It's Nintendo licensed. Nintendo did not make this game, though I'm sure they had some input on it. This is largely a Tencent made game. It's also going to be on mobile. So if you don't have a Switch, it'll be a mobile pay to win game as well.
So my advice, if you want to play this, only play it with groups of friends, like get a bunch of friends to play versus against each other and agree
don't use any items,
that none of you will ever buy any item and you will never unlock anything but additional Pokemon.
I would just say, even if you did that, a friend might grind more.
No, I'm saying you're not allowed to use any in-game currency except to get new Pokemon. Nothing else.
Right. I would say that, that would say that everyone just has to, everyone has to use potion as their item because you just get it pretty early.
Everyone has to use that apple core as their held item.
Everyone uses their apple core and equips no other items, right? No matter what. No leveling up the items, no nothing. And then, that's it.
Yeah, it'd be okay to unlock new Pokemon.
Friends only. Yeah, unlock a Pokemon, but don't, that's it.
If any of you want to play in that mode with us, I would actually be inclined to play with the listener. Like, that's something I would
play with all people I knew who are abiding by, like, the level 0, no spend. Yeah, it's kind of fun to play that way. And, but it would still be a landslide every time, I think, no matter what.
I'm curious what would happen if everyone was equal and it was people who were all trying hard.
And people were skilled and intelligent.
Yeah, because definitely, like, if I had voice, I would have very polite words with some people on my teams, because it was clearly like, okay, that's either a kid or someone. They just wandered off by themselves and got killed 1,000 times. Never actually contributed anything. Like, that happens.
Maybe I'll go on Twitch and find a streamer who is tolerable, who's playing, and I assume they'll be playing with a team against a team.
Just to see what that looks like.
Yeah, to see if it looks like, to see if there's any sort of semblance of balance there. I'm sure there'll be money spending and grinding at that level of play.
Yeah, because the thing I'm invested in
pros, even if they spent money, will I be able to find anyone else having a close match?
Because one thing it does get right that didn't matter because of the landslide was that, like we said before, the attacks, like different Pokemon, are radically different and interesting. Like Fly, I'll give you an example. Fly, you literally fly off the map, are invincible for like 6 fucking seconds, and you can choose where you come down and fuck somebody up.
I picked the crab guy because I like crabs and no one else picked it. And it's like I had an attack, the rock wall. It's like forget, I think but it's like it shoots out and then it creates a wall of rocks in sort of an arch. So you can use this both for keeping opponents away. They can't get through the wall, but also for trapping them in. Like, you can't get away from me. I put a wall in front of you and then I kill you. But also some Pokemon like Gengar might have an ability to do a short dash teleport and come right through the wall. So there's a lot of that sort of good interplay, even in such a simple game.
Like, I've been rocking. I play mostly Talonflame, and that's real fun. You are so fragile. You can get anywhere on the map so quick. So like, your teammate's under attack, and suddenly you show up and save the day. It's good fun. But yeah, this game is pay to win garbage.
Yep.
All right, that was a show. It was the appropriate